Hello and greetings. Welcome to Candlekeep's Hearth Tavern. My name is Vanessa, and I am from Rogatino. I hear that some of you met my twin sister, Anya, earlier. And yes, Red Sonja is our sister. On behalf of RPGmodsFan, I will be narrating most of this video, and giving you a walkthrough and DM's guide of the Canopic Being adventure. So, why don't you grab some wine or ale, and let me tell you the tale of the Canopic Being. The Canopic Being is the 14th adventure in the Candlekeep Mysteries anthology book, which was published in January of 2021. This 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons adventure was written by Jennifer Kretchmer. Her adventure is meant for 13th level player characters who enjoy role-playing. In other words, this adventure is not meant for those who are the shoot first and ask questions later types. According to the 36th issue of Dragon Plus Virtual Magazine, Jennifer started playing D&D with 2nd edition. She wanted to set her adventure outside of the Sword Coast and chose Tash Luta, a tropical port city that lies on the Cholk Peninsula. What I find funny is that this interview is longer than usual when compared to the other authors of Candlekeep Mysteries. Jennifer Kretchmer is an attractive woman, so I wonder if the interviewer prolonged their interview with her on purpose. The adventure starts with the player characters in Candlekeep. They are meeting with Eli Ivanmore, who is one of Candlekeep's great readers. She shows to the adventurers a book with translucent crystal covers, titled The Canopic Being. She informs them that Mayastan Sadar, who is a Candlekeep sage, was reading the book. After reading the book, Mayastan went to the House of the All-Seeing Orb, located in the city of Tash Luta, but has not returned. Towards the end of the book is a list of names, under the heading of those who have been bestowed the willing sacrifices. Mayastan Sadar is one of the names on this list. Also on this list is the name of each of the player characters. Eli offers the party 5,000 gold pieces to find Mayastan Sadar and safely bring her back. To travel to Tash Ayla, Eli offers the use of Candlekeep's teleportation circle. Located far to the south of Candlekeep, on the Cholk Peninsula, is the tropical port city of Tash Luta, which is the capital of the country of Tash Ayla. Tash Ayla is set between sea, mountains, and jungle. Tash Luta is also famous for the obsession its citizens have for divining the future. Most Tash Lutans claim to have some amount of skill with personal precognition and prognostication. One of the most notable sites in Tash Luta is the House of the All-Seeing Orb. This temple is an immense compound dedicated to the study of magical divination. Oh, and by the way, the word canopic can be a major spoiler for the adventure. The word canopic is an adjective, and it means of, or relating to, an ancient Egyptian vase, urn, or jar that is used to hold the viscera, or the soft inner organs, of an embalmed body. So, a canopic jar is a can of inner guts. Sorry, I could not resist this pun and play on words. Tucked in between pages of the Canopic Being book is Zemru Thal's note, which is a player's handout. It reads as follows.
When we began this journey, only the oracle of the all-seeing orb, the great Valen Sarnaster, had an inkling where it might lead. It is my honor to have been selected as the first donor and recipient. By giving Valen a piece of myself and receiving a piece of her in return, I can help the fate of the world unfold as she has foreseen. It is my honor to protect the oracle in her sanctuary, ensuring that only donors and recipients may visit her. I have no need of the right of reclamation, for I believe in the vision and perfection of Valen Sarnaster. For clarity's sake, I offer this record of the procedures performed on the donors and recipients, whose fates and organs are now bound to the oracle. May she serve the all-seeing for centuries to come. In transparency, Zemru Thal, High Priest of Savras, House of the All-Seeing Orb, Tashluta.
I should pause here and let Ulraunt give the formal spoilers warning for this video.
Hello, my name is Ulraunt. I am the former Keeper of Tomes. Some time ago, the task of governing Candlekeep has been turned over to the Archmage Janusi. Anyway, my assistant, RPGmodsFan, will now be discussing the adventure itself, and this video will contain spoilers. Unless you are a Dungeon Master who will be running this adventure for their players, or are a player who already played through this adventure and are watching this video for nostalgia purposes, I would suggest not to watch the rest of this video.
The author, Jennifer Kretchmer, does provide a short synopsis for the adventure, which, verbatim, is as follows. In this adventure, the player characters investigate the disappearance of a Candlekeep sage, and disrupt the plans of a mad oracle bent on domination. However, she does not provide an adventure summary. I would summarize the adventure as follows. The Canopic Being sends the player characters on a quest to find Mayastan Sadar, the missing sage of Candlekeep. And there is no need to worry that the players will not want to get involved, because their names appear alongside the missing sages on a list of intended vessels for a mummy lord's transplanted organs. They then teleport to Tashluta, which is the capital of Tashala, a land where divination is practiced by everyone, but reaches its art form in the House of the All-Seeing Orb. At this prophetic temple, they meet the High Priestess, named Sherendelion. She tells them that Mayastan Sadar went to visit Valen Sarnister, who is a famous oracle, at her sanctuary. Mayastan has not returned. Before Mayastan, 4 other advice-seeking people have went to Valen's sanctuary, and, likewise, have not returned. On the grounds of the House of the All-Seeing Orb, is a portal to Valen's sanctuary, which the adventurers use to get there. The sanctuary is on a crystalline demiplane, and is translucent, making it unusual. But, it is still a dungeon crawl. It is Egyptian-themed. There the adventurers will encounter a trick sarcophagus, a room full of mirrors, and a zero-gravity face-off. The missing sage, Mayastan, has performed suicidal surgery on herself, to prevent Valen from using her as an organ vessel. Valen Sarnister is the proverbial, final boss of the adventure, and has recently become a mummy lord. She wants to turn the player characters into her organ vessels. These vessels are called Canopic golems, and are tough opponents. I will now go through the adventure's timeline of events. Valen Sarnister was an honored oracle of Savras, a deity of divination and fate. Valen served at the House of the All-Seeing Orb, in Tashluta. She has visions of transforming into a mummy lord. Her visions included those who will become her victims during and after the mummification process. Valen then steals the Canopic Being book, and follows its rituals and instructions, on becoming a mummy lord. Normally, the once inner organs of a mummy lord are stored in canopic jars. This book describes a unique and horrific process by which a mummy lord's organs can be stored and transplanted into living humanoids. The transplant recipients come under the control of the mummy lord, either as living supplicants or as mindless golems. The mindless golems are called canopic golems. Towards the end of the book, Valen added a list of names of those who are the oracle's current and intended victims, as seen in her visions. The names Valen added are as follows. Elesia Besa, who is Valen Sarnister's longtime attendant and is still alive. Elesia is the unwitting custodian of Valen's heart. Zemru Thal, who was the high priest of the House of the All-Seeing Eye. He is now a canopic golem, storing Valen's nerves. Zeren Zoradius was a human mage and adventurer. Zeren is now a canopic golem, storing Valen's kidneys. Okuzor was a tiefling gladiator and adventurer. Okuzor is now a canopic golem, storing Valen's eyes. Mayastan Sadar, the missing dragonborn sage, was supposed to be transformed into a canopic golem and store Valen's pancreas. However, Mayastan suicidally cut out her own pancreas. Each of the player characters' names are at the end of the list. Just as an aside, once the player characters examine and read the Canopic Being book, much of the adventure's mysteries are revealed. The only remaining mystery is why the characters' names are appearing in the book. Turns out, it was a MacGuffin vision that the adventure's villain had. Although Zemru Thal willingly became one of Valen's canopic golems, he sent the book to Candlekeep, without Valen's knowledge, before becoming a mindless golem. He also added his notes into the book. 9 months ago, the Canopic Being book arrived at Candlekeep. The Avowed, who are Candlekeep's librarians, were horrified by the book's contents and relocated it to the library's vaults. Because of the Avowed actions, no one at the House of the All-Seeing Eye are aware that their oracle, Valen, is now a mummy lord. The dragon-born sage, Mayastan Sadar, found the Canopic Being book within Candlekeep's collections. After reading it, she intended on speaking with Valen. Thus, she travels, via teleportation, to Tash Luta's House of the All-Seeing Orb. That was 1 day ago. Mayastan uses the portal at the temple that takes her to Valen's sanctum. Valen intended to use Mayastan as a vessel for her pancreas. When Mayastan learned of Valen's true nature, she committed suicidal surgery on herself. This adventure begins with the player characters in Candlekeep, meeting with the Great Reader, Eli Ivanmore. She tasks the adventurers with finding Mayastan Sadar, in exchange for 5,000 gold pieces. Upon accepting the quest, the player characters are given the chance to examine the Canopic Being book. The mages at Candlekeep can set up the character's journey by use of their teleportation circle, to reach another teleportation circle at the House of the All-Seeing Orb. This is the same destination to which Mayastan Sadar traveled to the previous day. When player characters enter, they are greeted by yellow-robed priests of the temple. They then meet and talk with Sherendelian, who is a female human, and is the highest-ranking priestess at the temple. From Sher, the player characters learn that Mayastan went to visit Valen at her secluded sanctuary. Sher does not know that Valen is now a mummy lord. Valen's living assistant, Alessia Besa, often visits the temple to attend to matters on behalf of Valen. The portal to Valen's sanctum is hidden in a shed on the temple's grounds. Priestess Endelian will bring the adventurers there, where they then depart to the sanctum, which lies on its own crystalline demi-plane. Upon first arriving, they will be greeted by Alessia Besa. The encounter with Alessia can go one of many ways, depending on how diplomatic or hostile the player characters are. Either way, they end up exploring and dungeon crawling through Valen's sanctum, which now, effectively, serves as her tomb. Valen lies in wait for the adventurers, in a room that has 0 gravity. Until they become accustomed to the absence of gravity, the characters will have disadvantage on their attack rolls. How this adventure ends depends on how learned and knowledgeable the player characters are on mummy lords. It depends on if the characters have learned that its heart needs to be destroyed to truly destroy a mummy lord. This adventure debuts one new monster to D&D, and that is the Canopic Golem. This monster will make this adventure, to say the least, frustrating for spellcasters. I will now directly quote from the adventure. The golem automatically succeeds on saving throws against spells of 7th level or lower, and the attack rolls of such spells always miss it. I am not sure how to remedy this, without breaking the logical sense of ecology in the dungeon area of the adventure. Perhaps, this spell immunity can be nerfed down, while, at the same time, adding in spellcasting mercenary guards. I will now briefly discuss the adventure's main cast of characters. Actually, there is not much to add to what I already have mentioned. Unlike Strahd in the various Ravenloft adventures, the Canopic Being adventures characters are not dynamic, and are tied, pretty much, to their locations. Eli Ivanmore is a female human sage. At Candlekeep, the Avowed have 8 great readers, and Eli is one of those great readers. At the beginning of the adventure, the player characters are meeting with Eli. She hires the adventurers to find the missing sage, Mayaston, who is also Eli's close friend. Upon acceptance of the quest, Eli gives the Canopic Being book to the player characters for them to examine. Towards the end, written in it, are the following words. Those who have been bestowed. The willing sacrifices. At the bottom of the page is Mayaston Sadar's name, which is then followed by the names of each of the player characters. When the adventurers travel to the house of the all-seeing orb, their inquiries will grant them an audience with Sherendelian, who is the highest-ranking priestess in the temple. Her knowledge is limited, but enough to get the adventurers going on the next part of their journey, which is to Valen's sanctum, via a portal that is hidden in a shed on the temple grounds. The Mummy Lord, Valen Sarnister, wears a Mummy Lord's diadem that makes her still look human. Hence, she is, effectively, still the oracle of the House of the All-Seeing Orb. Valen has been thoroughly corrupted by visions of a future, in which she sees herself as a demigod, and the immortal heir of Savras's realm. She believes becoming a powerful undead is the first step on her path to godhood. Unless her heart is destroyed, like all other mummy lords, Valen cannot be vanquished. Upon being killed, she will reform and resurrect within 24 hours. Ever since becoming a mummy lord, Valen has not left her demi-planar sanctum. Instead, she has her assistant deal with the outside world, as well as allowing advice-seeking visitors to come to her. Elesia Besa had a premonition of the adventurers arriving at Valen's sanctum. Thus, she is at the sanctum's portal chamber, waiting for their arrival. She assumes they are just seeking advice from the oracle. Elesia is Valen Sarnister's longtime attendant and assistant. She is the unknowing and unwitting custodian of Valen's heart, which is Valen's Achilles' heel. How can Elesia not know her heart has been replaced with Valen's? Well, that is one of the dark rituals that is written in the Canopic Being book that Valen has performed. She disbelieves any mention of Valen being an evil being or plotting evil deeds. I will now walk through the Adventures 1 map. The map is probably easier to decipher with the areas labeled, as they are now. The dungeon is made of translucent crystal, and exists on its own demi-plane. It is covered with senses that scry on the characters. The dungeon is also warded against teleportation and summoning spells cast by outsiders. Given the adventure's theme, as well as the villain's motivations, as a dungeon master, I would redesign it, so that it resembles a human body. Chamber number T1 is the portal chamber. Elesia Besa will be waiting for the player character's arrival, and greet them, in this room. Chamber number T3 is the Mirrors of Fortune chamber. The walls are actually mirrors, causing multiple cascading images of anything or anyone in the room. Touching a mirror causes 4d10 of psychic damage. Chamber number T4 is the testing chamber. There is a large crystalline dais at its center. Within the translucent dais, the hilt of a sword can be seen. This area was once used by priests and acolytes to sharpen their mental acuity against harmful psychic energy, which will cause characters to suffer tremors and have their speeds reduced by half. Smashing through the dais will free 2 dows, who tasked with guarding the hilt. The hilt is actually a powerful magical weapon, called the Sun Sword. Basically, the D&D version of a lightsaber. Chamber number T5 once housed the Sanctum's scrying pool. However, due to Valen's corruption, it no longer functions as it is supposed to. At best, it functions like a detect good and evil spell. In this circular chamber, is Okuzor, a canopic golem that holds Valen's eyes. Valen is able to converse through the golem, and greets the player characters when they first enter the room. Valen seeks to lead the adventurers to chamber number T6, which is the False Tomb. In the False Tomb are 2 more canopic golems. It is within this chamber, Valen wants her vision fulfilled, and have all 3 of her golems to attack the adventurers. Also in the chamber are canopic jars. Some are empty, others hold the original inner organs of Valen's victims. In total, 3 jars are empty. If your player characters number more than 3, then, as a dungeon master, I would appropriately add more empty jars. There is a deep pit in the middle of the chamber. At its bottom is an oval-shaped black onyx sarcophagus. If Valen is killed, but her heart remains beating in Alessia, then she will reform, in the sarcophagus, within 24 hours. Then, she will cast Dimension Door to exit it. Any living creature that touches the sarcophagus causes the pit to be filled with a stinking cloud. The sarcophagus lid is very heavy, and opening it will unleash necrotic energy that can cause 68 damage to those within 5 feet of the sarcophagus. Chamber number T7 is the meditation room. Here, Mayastan Sadar's body can be found. A search of Mayastan's body reveals a sheaf of papers in an inside pocket. These pages contain lore regarding mummy lords. Of particular note is the fact that a mummy lord's heart must be destroyed to keep the mummy lord from reforming. Chamber number T11 is the Observatory of History, and is a room with 0 gravity. Here, the adventurers can see visions of past events. As a dungeon master, if you have an ongoing campaign, and your players could not deduce an important clue in a past game session, then have your player characters view the event, or events, over again in this room. Valen Sarnister lies in wait for the adventurers, in the Observatory of Fate, which is chamber number T9. This room has no gravity. Until a character rolls a successful DC 15 dexterity check on their turn, that character will have disadvantage on attack rolls for their turn. Valen challenges the characters, saying that she has already seen their defeat written in their past and future. Unless the adamantine key that Valen has on her person is used, the door to her treasure room is, of course, trapped with a glyph of warding. In this room are a number of worthless crystals, 10 gemstones, worth a total of 5,000 gold pieces, and 3 magic items. All of them are floating around in this gravity-free room. The magic items are as follows. An Ione Stone of Awareness. A Staff of Fate, which is a new magic item to D&D. It is a +3 quarterstaff, imbued with crystals that can alter probability itself. Each of its 6 crystals represents a special D4 bonus that you can add to a single roll, such as an attack roll, an ability check, a saving throw, or a damage roll. And another new magic item, called the Watchful Helm, that grants advantage on perception checks. This adventure can end with a few loose threads. Valen can only be truly destroyed if her heart is destroyed. However, her heart is in Alessia's living body. Which means, Alessia needs to be killed, and Valen's heart rip out of Alessia's chest, and destroyed. Geez, I wonder if this is an allegory to one of the author's past relationships. Even if Valen is killed but her heart is not destroyed, Valen can reform within 24 hours. After which, she will plot and seek vengeance on the adventurers. Another loose thread is, what do the adventurers do with Mayastan's body? Do they bring it back to Candlekeep? Instead, as a dungeon master, you can have the player characters find the sage still alive, but bleeding out, from having just performed the suicidal surgery. As a mage, myself, I found this adventure frustrating. Due to Canopic Golem's spell immunity, this adventure seems like it is made for martial characters, and not for spellcasters, who, at best, can participate in the role-playing aspects of the adventure. Well, I am exaggerating, a little bit. They can also be effective against Valen, during the final boss battle. If you have any ideas on how to make this adventure even better, please share them in the comments below. Thank you for watching, from all of us, at the RPGmodsFan channel. Hope this video has been informative and entertaining. Please subscribe, like, share and comment. We do like feedback. Till next time, we wish you well. Cheers, have a good day, and goodbye.
Fight for my ascension, for your ascension, you must prove it. 'Cause if you can find it, you don't confine it, you let it move. Make way for the genie, scream for the dream, may coming true. Have you ever played with a queen? I can show you what I mean. I can make you feel free. I got you in another me. Can you meet me on my level? Oh baby, is your reign over? Can you battle with the devil? Oh baby, is the game over? I want your devotion, all your emotions in my hand. I want your obsession, every affection, full command. And if you defy me, you won't survive me, you'll be there. 'Cause I am the giant, I am the diamond, not a man. Have you ever played with a queen? I can show you what I mean. I can make you feel free. I got you in another me. Can you meet me on my level? Oh baby, is your reign over? Can you battle with the devil? Oh baby, is the game over?